Peace and blessings. Namaste to all light warriors, workers, and everything in between. It is I, Sophie, today. I want to talk to you about something. Okay? Ever woke up in the morning, getting ready to go to work, and there's a song playing over and over and over in your head? And you jump in the car, turn on the radio, and bam, there it is. The song that was playing in your head was actually playing throughout the radio waves, right? Now, the reason why I brought this up is because we're going to deal with telepathy right now. How you can use it, how you can start practicing it. This is something I've been playing around with, and I'm going to tell you from my personal experience how this can work, okay? Based off of my do's, my don'ts, what has worked for me, what has not worked for me, and how to process it correctly. So, going back to the car and the radio song, what you ended up doing was tapping into a certain frequency, wavelength that was being broadcasted out. And interesting enough, when we are part of a collective, it's the same concept, okay? When you tap into a certain frequency and your thoughts are hitting the collective, if others are tapped into that same frequency, you can talk to them. And they have the ability to tap into your consciousness, right? I have had people ask me, have you reached out to me? Were you talking to me? A lot of my sister friends was doing that and saying, hey, I heard from you. I heard from you. Or you came and visited me. I wasn't really aware of it, at the time. But what I was aware of is sometimes I do think about a person. Okay. And if I start to think about a person and they're on that same frequency, when it hits the collective, they can have the ability to tap into that frequency. The same way you have the ability to tap into music. Okay. Now, there's another form of telepathy that we call sympathetic frequency. Okay. Sympathetic frequency is normally done with an object or a point of focus with that particular person that you're trying to tap into them energetically. All right. Now, this, you can kind of tell when something like this is happening. And here's an example. You ever having a wonderful day? It's beautiful outside. Nothing is going on. And then all of a sudden, you might be around some people and then here come these negative thoughts. And you have the thoughts. You're thinking that the thoughts are coming from you, but that's not necessarily the case. Okay? Because others have the ability to influence your energetic fields just the way that you have the ability to influence or infiltrate others' energetic fields. Some people do this unintentional. Okay? Others, it's pretty intentional. Especially with people that do a lot of work. Okay. If you do a lot of work, you can, and you kind of want to stay away from them because you don't want these impeding thoughts to come through. And a lot of times these thoughts are very impeding and you kind of know that it's not you because you're like, I don't think like this. Okay. Where is that coming from? So therefore it is important for you to learn how to protect your energetic fields. All right. But for those of us who are now excited, about their new journey, their new awakening, and they're like, okay, well, wait a minute. We have these powers. Like, the science has been saying for a long time that we only use 10 to 15% of our brains. Where's the rest of it, right? And we don't even know how much of that is true when it comes down to percentage wise. But we do know that we are not using all of the brain functions that we could. So we want to learn how to start skipping some steps, right? And developing ourselves. So we can do it through frequency. But it only seems to work if someone is already tuned in to that frequency, just like your radio. Okay? If I'm on 99.9 and 12 other people are on 99.9 and a thought hits the collective, and the people that are on that frequency can hear that thought, process that thought, okay? Other times that we are able to do this is that we're thinking very, very hard about somebody, okay? And if they're on the same frequency and they hear their name mentioned, they can tune into that, okay? And figure out what it is that you are thinking. Some people have innate abilities to do this, Okay. And it will freak you out when they call you out on it. Because you're like, wait a minute. That was just a thought. Like, how did you know that? How did you know that I was even making an attempt to do that? Well, if they're on the same frequency, they're going to hear it. Sometimes they can encroach. Okay. So here's something else that can happen. You're having a conversation, an out loud conversation, like I'm talking to you right now. And say we're talking about a specific person. Okay. Whether it's good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter. But the name is being mentioned over and over and over again. Right. And then all of a sudden, that person that you're talking about calls you, or something that you were addressing in your conversation, when they contact you, now they're addressing it on their own, independent of whether or not you talk to them about that situation. This universe is mental, okay? It's very, very mental. And for those of you who have the ability, okay, to tap into these different levels of frequency, some can be low, some can be high, it could be anywhere in between. Understand that you will never be alone in that frequency, okay? And if you know that you'll never be alone in that frequency, chances are somebody's always listening to you. They might not know what they're listening to, okay? But they can hear you. I have friends, who contacted me, today and was like, listen, I was holding a whole conversation with this individual in the astral realms. Okay. And I'm hearing them talk back to me. But when I call that person, they don't remember it. Well, that happens as well too. Depending on how in tuned you are with your higher selves. Okay. The information will flow either easier or more difficult. When we use sympathetic frequency, we're literally targeting an individual. We're trying to practice this, not just for some person, but you never know when, I don't know, your phones might go out or anything like that, and we might have to start communicating telepathically. It's not a gift that is unheard of. Okay, some have the ability to communicate with animals telepathically, and that's how animals do communicate with you. They make their sounds, but if you're in tune with your animal, you'll know telepathically what they want. Okay, how they want it, how they're answering you, if they're happy, if they're sad, and some of them can hold conversations. Now, remember when we started going into the shift, the animal kingdom was one of the first to start to evolve. I have been paying attention to the animals for about 10 years, seeing how they were developing emotionally. I was seeing videos of dogs crying on coffins. Sobbing when their owners passed, how certain dogs were learning how to bury the dead. We also have certain animals like the horses now that are growing mustaches. All right. So the animal kingdom has already started evolving way before we started tapping into it. And I watched them first and said, whoa, they were the first to get it. And so now humanity is starting to catch up with it. And you will pay, if you pay attention to your pets, some of them like standing on their hind legs and walking too. You can communicate with them. I'm telling you, we're in the era right now where all of these things are possible. There is nothing that is off limit to you. Okay. Telepathic communication has everything to do with either the frequency that you're tapping into as a collective or an energetic field. If you're around people. Now, some people may say, consider this a form of clairsentience. And it can be a form of clairsentience. But when you have the ability to understand what somebody else is thinking without them speaking because you're just around them, or if you ever find yourself with thought that doesn't seem to come to you or come from you, okay, or it doesn't quite fit your character, then somebody is infiltrating your field. All right. It can be done, and it's a lot easier than what you think it is. But it is something that you have to put into practice. Being around a group of people for introverts, okay, like myself, I am I am mainly an introvert. Let's just be honest. I go to work. I'll go to the gym. I'll come home. That's it. You know, I used to go to the movies and stuff like that all the time, but a lot of introverts can't deal with a lot of energy right now because they're picking up on everything. And until you learn how to tune your mind out, which some people find more difficult than others, then it becomes hard for you. Your thoughts can be infiltrated. Okay? Your thoughts can be manipulated. And you do have the ability to connect with another based off of the frequency that you are on. Okay? Will you have the ability if you're on 99.9 FM and somebody else is on 106.2 FM? You won't be able to communicate as smoothly. Okay? So, in an effort, if you're really trying, because as I said, some of us do this unaware, but if you're really trying to tap into your telepathic skills, I would suggest using empathetic frequency. Okay? Find a picture. Find a song or something that person likes. And just sit there and concentrate on it so that you can fine tune the frequency that they are on and try to match it. Just practice it. See what happens. Have fun with it. Now, if you start to do things that are destructive, remember there's karmic consequences. So don't harass anybody. Okay? Don't try to affect anybody's free will. Don't try to impede any negative thoughts. Don't try to push any curses or anything like that. If you're just trying to test out your telepathic skills, just start by saying hello. How are you? What are you doing? And if you get a phone call saying, hey, were you trying to speak to me? Then it has worked. Now, the flip side of that, somebody's talking to you telepathically and you don't want them to, and you figure out that it's being done, let them know. Or protect your energetic field. Protect your mind. You can do this through visualization as well. Okay? One of the techniques that I like to do is put my head in a bubble. I know it sounds funny. But I will create an energetic bubble around my head when I am trying to keep impeding thoughts from coming in and causing me to adapt it as if it is my own. The thoughts, when they are impeding, sounds just like you. And it comes from within, right? You're not hearing it outside, it's hearing the mind. Because everything that we do, every level that we reach, okay, every piece of understanding that we gather, every fight that we've ever had, all of that is mental. Takes place in different places of the brain. I'll do a breakdown on that a little later. But for right now, telepathy, baby. Okay? It's one of our new gifts for the new earth. Learn how to use it effectively and have fun on your journey, and do it with people that you love or that you care about. Okay? And just see how it works. Frequency. Match it. Focus. Think. That is all. I am Sophie, and I love you all. Bye.